Hi guys, welcome to the first part of a couple part video series that is a beginner's guide to the Mindwind Minecraft server. Before we start, I'm going to go ahead and explain a little bit about Mindwind, why it's a fantastic server, and why you should play it. To start off, Mindwind is a semi-anarchy Minecraft server, and what I mean by that is hacking, duping, any form of cheating at all is not allowed. Which is, in my opinion, what makes it better than other servers like 2B2T. The server has an economy that constantly changes because it's player run, and there's a lot. It's a sort of complicated server once you get first start off, but once you play a little bit, you understand it's not as complicated as it looks on the surface. So as you can see, I'm currently in the hub server. I don't think will spawn here when you first log into the server. It will automatically connect you to one of their subservers, which I can show you here by doing the /change server command. As you can see, we have Aqua, Arch, Azure, Era, Moon, Sun, Terra, and Throne. Each one has a different player base. I personally enjoy playing on Sun. That's the one I started off on. So we're going to go ahead and go there now. Alright, and this is spawn. As you can see, I spawned in a hole, just because there were explosions and people dug a hole in it. I don't think it will spawn exactly in that spot. You're going to spawn in this general area here in the middle of the town. So I'm going to go over how to actually start out, how to build a base, brief description of how the economy works, and some other helpful tips. So when you spawn, the first thing I can recommend is go around. You have all these different buildings. Many of them have chests, and the chests actually spawn loot in them. So there aren't any in this building, so we're going to hop over to this one. And as you can see, they're chests. Looks like these have already been looted. They refresh their items every once in a while. And you can get things such as logs from them. You can get string, gravel, food. You can get diamond blocks, redstone blocks, etc. A lot of it's very useful for starting out, very helpful for you to get gear. And that is the first thing I can recommend doing before you even start doing anything else. From within spawn, you actually don't lose items if you die. So since this is spawn, lots of people like to fight here. Lots of people like to just kill people. So when you go around, if someone is chasing you down, don't even worry about it. You will respawn. You'll keep everything that you have. And this makes it so you can actually farm spawn. As you can see up there and there, and all the buildings, they're ore blocks. Iron, there's lapis, I believe, like there's glowstone up there, and below spawn there's actually sewers, and in the main part, I think there's diamond ore, there's gold ore, redstone ore, emerald ore, that you can all farm. The way you can actually farm spawn like that is because once each chunk takes a certain amount of damage, it will regenerate. So spawn takes it takes a beating, as you can tell. Like, this building is basically destroyed. All the floors messed up. And once people do enough damage, all those items will respawn. So, like, you have those iron blocks. People can mine them, but once that chunk regenerates, those iron blocks will come back. So anything you see inside spawn is farmable. Like redstone blocks, they're very useful. I need those. So yeah, definitely take advantage of what's here. before you even leave spawn. At least try and get a couple iron blocks, get yourself some gear, sword, armor, so you can survive the mobs outside of spawn. Each building, most of them have a purpose. Like for this one, I think is there's an anvil in here that actually lets you modify your weapons right there. Also chests in here. And each one has, some of them have villagers. All ones have a purpose. So let me see if I can find a villager real quick. Alright, so I actually found 2 villagers. This one has armor. This one has some tools. As you can tell, they are custom items. They're not vanilla. And I'll explain more of that later. Because that's a whole another topic that I want to get into once you guys are ready for that. Yeah, farm spawn, get materials. Once you're ready to leave, the best way I can show you how to do that is if you do /warp and type in gate. There are 4 different gate warps. There's north, east, south, and west. Each one obviously takes you to one side of spawn. This is north. I think you're going to spawn facing north, south, and then you have east and west. Outside the north spawn, or gate, I'm sorry. I'm just going to go over there now so I don't have to wait for the teleport timer. So when you warp gate north, it's going to teleport you somewhere around this area. If you just follow this pathway out, you'll actually see there's a path here. If you keep following this path, eventually it's going to turn into a highway, which will let you walk from spawn easily. I know from here, I think a lot of it is obsidian, just so it doesn't get broken as easily. And I think around here is where the I'm gonna head back to spawns just in case this guy tries to fight. But I think around that area, whenever you leave, you actually lose that spawn protection that keeps you from losing your items whenever you die. So make sure there's nobody around whenever you're leaving, just because people will kill you for your stuff. Especially if they're an older player and they have those god items, like I showed you earlier, those custom ones. If you follow that way, there's gonna be a mess of blocks and that cobble wall and everything. If you just keep following it, eventually it'll turn into a highway that you can just follow, and that will go for several thousand blocks. I think whenever I started, I followed it for at least 5,000, and then I ended up making a base at around 20,000 blocks. I would not make a base that close to spawn, like an actual official base. For your first base, I would just make a starter base. Just put items in there that you're okay with losing. And then eventually you want to upgrade to a bigger base that you can actually feel confident in storing things in that won't get raided. Raiding is allowed. Anything other than the initial rules I talked about where no cheating is allowed. So you're going to make a base, make it a starter base. I would get an ender chest as soon as possible. There's obsidian around spawn, and then you can get an ender pearl from endermans, obviously. I know some people like to sell them. Ender pearls are worth almost nothing. You could trade materials for them, like iron, I'm sure. Someone will take it. Make an ender chest, and then along the highway there are nether portals that people have made. So you can go to the nether, try and find a blaze spawner or nether fortress where blazes are spawning, and from there get a blaze rod, make an eye of ender, get your ender chest, and store all of your valuable stuff in there. That if you lose, you'd be upset. So you want to keep anything valuable in there, just keep it safe and secure. And also, if you have to log off in your base or around spawn. I would actually log off around spawn and keep all your important valuables on you, just in case your base does get found and raided. just because you don't want to lose your starting items. So as I mentioned earlier, there is a highway from spawn. I think each different direction has one, but I might be wrong about that. There might just be one headed north. There are also highways inside the nether. I actually haven't seen them myself because I avoided the nether. But that is, if you find the highway in the nether, use that over the overworld highway. Because in case you didn't know, 1 block in the nether traveled is equivalent to 8 blocks in the overworld. So go to the nether, use that highway, and just go as far as you can. Then hop out, and you should be a couple thousand blocks from spawn. That's the best way to get a starter base set up. I want to talk a little bit about the currency. I'm not going to go too into detail, just because of how complicated it is for a beginner. So if you look here, I have a trade guide that is actually written by Funeral Suits. He is my clan leader, and he is considered the CEO of Sun just because he has a lot of experience and he's a very good player. But he wrote this trade guide back in October. This is actually the first edition. He has a second edition that's out. It's a little bit hard to get just because I don't think you can actually copy the second trade guide, but this first one you can copy. So if you guys join the server and I'm online, you can message me. I can get you a trade guide. My username is Cry, K-R-Y. Yeah, so we have this trade guide, and he went through everything in detail. Like, he went through all of the different currency items I would use, like dragon eggs, embers, nether stars, everything of that sort. Each one you can convert to each other. Some villagers in spawn like you to trade currencies between each other, and that's how those prices are defined. But some people also will trade items for those currencies. Like I know you can buy some ender pearls with embers. You can buy shulkers with dragon eggs or embers or nether stars, whatever you have. So definitely take advantage of what you have to your disposal. In another video, I will explain how to get those currency items in detail. You can actually get dragon eggs from the spawn chests. It's rare, but they are there. I've gotten a couple of them actually. The best way I can explain simply to get those items is you want to wild loot. So village chests will sometimes spawn dragon eggs. They'll spawn embers, nether stars. You can also find god items, which are the custom items that we have on the server. For example, I have these two. I have this sword and this bow. They're both custom items. They're enchanted, but they're not enchanted with vanilla enchants. My sword gives people wither, and my bow gives people slowness. There's also god armor. Like, this gives me speed 2 permanently, as long as I'm wearing it on. So there's a lot of different items, and I'll explain more of those in detail whenever I do the currency video, just to keep it all together. The other tip I can give you for starting out is taking advantage of some of the commands. You have /home. So you can set homes. I think as a white name, which is the default rank, you can set up to 3 homes. So typically what I like to do is I have one for my base. I have one for the wild looting. So whenever I want to go back and loot some shipwrecks or villages, I can teleport there and keep going where I left off. And for the third one, I'll usually save for if I find something cool, like a village with a good trade. If I find a place where someone has been recently, that's a possible base location. I could go and raid them if I find the base, which is rare, but it does happen. And the final thing I'm going to leave off with is the server website, which will be down in the description. There's some information on there, like for the events, which is another way to get currency, which I'll explain in the currency video. And there's also a web store link on the website, and where you can buy donator links, which each one gives you different perks. And yeah, like I said earlier, I'm going to make a couple different videos. I'm going to have one for currency and the god items, explaining how to get those currency items in detail. I'm going to explain some of the conversion rates. I'm going to explain how you guys can get god items easily, or if you need to buy them, how to do it cheaply. Well, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it very much. If you're interested in the server, the IP is down in the description, along with the Sun Discord, which is run by one of the players. And there's a lot of very useful information in there that if you want to jump ahead for information that I haven't covered in this first video, you can go through and read from there. Yeah, thank you guys for watching very much. If you want to see those next couple videos, stay subscribed.